Hi, my name is Gabby Turner, and in this pick a card reading, we're going to be asking what was their first impression of you versus their current impression. So, how has their perspective of you changed over time, basically? We do have three options. I'm recording from the driver's side of my car, which probably looks a little different if you're used to my videos. I'm hoping that it's a metaphor of some kind that I'm in the driver's seat. But anyway, we've got these three options. Option number one is Mother Mary. Option 2 is Charity, and option 3 is Saint Germain. So go ahead and use your intuition to the best of your ability to tune into whichever reading or readings are calling out to you. It's up to you to tune into the correct reading. I can't do it all for you. But once you've done that, go ahead and use the timestamps below, and I'll see you at your reading. Okay, group one, folks, you chose Mother Mary. Beautiful, wonderful Mother Mary. Love and peace. Let go of the need to be right. Choose peace. Mother healing is possible at this time. I guess it's impossible to know who's right anyway, isn't it? Like, how do we know what is the absolute truth? Everyone thinks that they're right sometimes. One of the things that I am picking up intuitively about your person is that a lot of their first impressions of you, they still hold even now. So it's not like they've stopped thinking the things that they thought about you in the beginning or the things that they saw in you. They still see those things in you now. I think there's just a greater level of depth that they see beyond that. But let's start off with the beginning. What were their first impressions? We get the Page of Pentacles, the King of Cups, and the Four of Swords. This is the Edgar Allan Poe Tarot. They did see you, I feel, in connection to a family member. And I was feeling this already. I don't know why family stuff comes up to me so much in my readings, but this Page of Pentacles, the pages are like younger people, and then we have the King of Cups, which gives like a family feeling. And then I drew a card to clarify this Page of Pentacles, and I get the Empress, which on this particular Empress card, we have a parent and child. And like you see, there are a lot of similarities between the two. So I do feel like when this person, their first impressions, and if this is not true for you, then this is not your reading, and you have picked the wrong reading, which is okay. It's okay, but you didn't pick the right reading. If the person that you're watching this for did not know anything about any of your family members, because they saw a similarity between you and someone in your family. I'm thinking it's a parent or a grandparent, an elder to you, someone older than you. Could be an older sibling maybe, or an uncle or an aunt. But someone in your family, they saw a resemblance between the two of you in some way. So that was one of their first impressions. And then we have the Four of Swords. I think they felt that although there was some sort of similarity between you and this person in your family, that you kind of found your own sense of peace, almost like distancing yourself from that family member. Like you didn't really want to be associated with that family member. You didn't want that to be what you were recognized for, right? You wanted to be recognized kind of like on your own terms. I do feel like this person found, we have the Ten of Pentacles, which is more like family connections. Like they did find those family connections intriguing, or they were interested in your family legacy, your lineage. And I think that made them feel a little bit awkward because they weren't sure, like, well, should I bring up to group one? Like, I know you're dad, or I know your sister, or, whoever it was. They're like, I don't know if I should bring that up. Or like just, if you already knew that they knew them, they didn't know if they should bring up the family connections. Right? Because they did not want to start off on bad terms with you, and they were kind of afraid that might have started the two of you off on bad terms. So they're a little bit nervous, a little bit overthinking it, like, how do I proceed here without digging a grave for myself with group one? Okay. Anything else about that? No. I do feel like they held back, and they are kind of like, they were glad that they held back on not bringing up the family connections. All right. So what else in their first impressions? I feel like for a lot of you, this is really like the very first time when we say first impressions, like first impressions can be like the first few meetings, but in this case, I feel like it's like the very first meeting they were forming these impressions. And they must have known a little bit about you even before they met you, but we had the Queen of Swords, the Two of Wands, and then the Ace of Wands. I do feel like they saw you as a little bit of a formidable person in some way. And again, they wanted to, I feel like they wanted to be able to hold their own with you, right? They didn't want to come across as some like weakling, like who can't even get up the courage to speak or anything. Like they wanted to show a sort of boldness and courage, but they also had this impression of you. Well, if I show a little bit too much boldness or too much courage with group one, they might shut me out. So they had this impression that you could easily ice people out if people made the wrong step around you, the wrong move around you. But yeah, I mean, they also wanted to show up in their own swords energy. Here we have the Knight of Swords, right? Like, again, they did not want to give you the impression that, I feel like it's almost like they wanted to earn your respect. They wanted to earn your respect, and they felt the way to do that was to strike that balance between, how do I also come on strong? Like, I don't want to act like I'm a stupid person who has nothing to say. But they wanted the moment with you to last as long as it could. But they did have this feeling, we have this guy walking through dark woods, like towards this moon. It's like, almost like they felt like, I need to have a long conversation or a long moment alone with group one, if possible, because I want to really get to the heart of who group one is. So they were very drawn to you even from the beginning of when they first met you, but they felt that it would not be an easy path to really getting close to you. They did feel that you are a very reserved person who kind of keeps a strong boundary from other people, keeps a distance from other people. But they did feel that they, with time and patience, that they could forge that connection with you and break down your walls a little bit. And, in terms of breaking down the walls, they did feel, again, it's like I have to be a little bit pushy with group one, otherwise they won't even let down the drawing bridge, so to speak. They're like, I want group one to let down the drawing bridge so I have an opportunity to get in and connect to them more. So I'm going to have to be a little bit bold in some way. But, yeah, I mean, they did feel confident that they could do this. They did feel confident that they could earn your respect, that they could earn entrance to the land of group one. I think they did want to have, this first meeting. Maybe it was not officially a date. For some of you, maybe it was, I guess. But I think they wanted it to feel that way in a sense. Like they did want to give you the impression that they were trying to woo you in a romantic way. So for some of you, maybe you were meeting for the first time for a first date. But for others, if you just happened to meet somewhere and it wasn't that, like they kind of wanted to, I feel again like they were trying to create a sort of alone time with you. And I feel we have this Three of Swords reversed. Yeah, I mean, they really just wanted alone time. I feel like they thought, like, if there were other people around when you met each other, they needed to create some sort of bubble with you, because they felt like if other people were trying to talk to you at the same time, that would be an interference that would again keep them from being able to connect more to you, and making it obvious to you that they did want some sort of romantic connection there. I feel like this person had, they wanted to impress you as well. So they may have had something that they wanted to show you, or something they wanted to talk about that they were doing in their life, that, or some plan that they had for their life that they thought you might be interested in, that would, it's like they wanted to reveal a bit of themselves to you as well in this exchange. And they thought that you might be impressed or interested in what they had to share about themselves. Yeah, I feel like this person, you know, I keep getting this, like, I'm sorry if I sound like a broken record, but it's like they wanted to be able to show you all sides of themselves. They wanted to be sweet and kind to you. We have the Six of Cups and the Lover's card, right? This is sort of like soulmate energy for these two cards to come up together. Like, they wanted to be sweet and kind to you, but at the same time, they wanted you to see some sort of rawness, some sort of raw animal-like quality that they had within them as well. What is this raw animal-like quality? What is this? Oh, like just that they're a free spirit in some way. They wanted you to see that they are someone who has a lot going for them in life, or has a lot going on in their life. I think they just wanted to be interesting, right? They wanted to be interesting. Yeah, I mean, they basically wanted to interest you. They may have even felt a little bit like they wanted to reveal some sort of secret to you, which might have been disturbing or something, but they thought, like, to you, they were reading you as someone who would be intrigued by that. Like, I could reveal some quote-unquote disturbing detail about my life to group one, but they would actually be intrigued and be like, oh, really? Tell me more. You know, like the kind of things that you would only tell a therapist. You know, the kind of thing that you might be a little bit ashamed of saying. They thought if they said it to you, you actually would be very open. That would actually help you to bring down your drawbridge, so to speak, to use that metaphor again. Okay, anything else about the first impressions? Okay. All right, I think you should know by now whether or not this reading is for you, because if this makes no sense, then you have listened too long. You know what I mean? Okay, let me switch decks. I'm going to switch to how are they viewing you now? Like I said in the beginning, I do feel like all of that they were thinking of you before, they still view you in those ways. But they do have now like a deeper perspective, or a broader perspective. I do feel like currently this person sees you as a sort of inspiration. We have the Page of Cups and the Queen of Wands. So an inspiration could be a lot of different things. Obviously, if this is a creative person, they could be creatively inspired by you, either because you're a muse or because you're making your own art. But if neither of you are artistic, then it could also just be inspired by the way that you live your life, right? Inspired to embrace life more in the ways that you are. So far you've come through as the Queen of Swords and the Queen of Wands. And so these are both, these are the queens that are the most sort of uninhibited and living life on their own terms. So that quality about you, they really like. They feel emotionally connected to that quality. I think currently they do feel that maybe you don't understand them, or you don't have the same depth of interest in understanding them as they always have with you. Like they view themselves as being the more intrigued. Like they think they're more intrigued by you than the other way around. How does that make them feel? I don't think that it bothers them. I mean, they really kind of put you on a pedestal. This person's very impressed with you. We have the World card and the Tower card. It's making me think of like bring down the house. Like they do feel like you have a very dramatic quality to you with this Tower card, but it's a dramatic quality that's like, you know, that saying bring down the house. Like bring down the house means you've given a great performance, right? So you may or may not be a performer. If you are, then that could be literal, but it's like you have this flair of the dramatic for the way that you live your life. I don't know. It's like you give this person a lot of food for thought. And I don't know. I feel like they would love to have more of an opportunity of explaining that to you, maybe. Or explaining themselves to you. What do they want you to know? Yeah, they do want you to understand them more. Yeah. They feel that you are a person who, if you want to deeply understand someone, you can. They're seeing you as the High Priestess. They also, when they want to deeply understand someone, they also can, you know, as the Hanged Man. You both have these sort of similar qualities. Maybe you go about it in a different way somehow, but they feel that you are both that kind of person. Like when you place your emphasis on understanding someone, like you can really get to the heart and soul of who that person is. Their impression of you now is that you're not really doing that to them. You're not placing that emphasis on them, but they would like you to. Yeah, I mean, I think that like their perspective of you right now is they still see you as guarded, but they also feel that you are, at the same time as you are guarded, like you only let people in a certain kind of way. You are also very, like I said, bring down the house. Like you have a dramatic display quality. You live your life in a dramatic fashion. Like, have you ever seen someone who was like dressed up in, I used to know this woman actually. She had very peacock energy in the way that she dressed, and like she colored her hair in these bright colors and stuff, and wore these very unusual clothes. But you got the impression that she didn't really want a lot of people to approach her at the same time. So I'm not saying it's the same exact thing for you, but it's that quality of like, you're really very eye-catching in some way. It could be your personality, could be the way you present yourself, but like there's something dramatic in the way that you enter the world, the way that you express yourself, the way that you interact, etc. And yet at the same time, it's sort of like, don't come too close. You know, you're giving both of those at the same time. they just really wish you would pay more attention to them. I don't know. It's like they want you to pay attention to them. It makes them feel good when you are paying attention to them. Let's see. Anything else about this person's current impressions? So that's what I'm getting. I'm not getting anything else, but I feel like that was pretty thorough and interesting. I hope it gave you some necessary and or helpful insights. Thank you so much, Group 1, for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye. Okay, Group 2, you chose charity, prayer, and contemplation. Connect with heaven. Ask and you shall receive. Charity, prayer, and contemplation. All right. So let's see how your person viewed you in the beginning, their first impressions, versus how they're viewing you now. Whoops. I just dropped my pen on the floor. That's okay. It makes me feel drop my pen. Like this person, there's something about writing. Either they have written to you, or you have written to them, or they've written about you. Like I do feel like you are special to them, for them to be writing about you, as if they wrote about you. Yeah. I think they've written quite a bit about you. They could have even journaled about you to try to understand certain moments between the two of you. It does feel, to me, this feels like two people who have a sort of extensive history. It isn't like, well, we met one time, or, you know, it's like, it feels like people who have met on many occasions, maybe through the years. Their first impressions of you. Their first impressions, they wanted to kind of get your attention, but almost in the way of like wanting to throw you off balance in a way. There's a little bit of a trickster energy. I'm seeing this little cat jumping on this seesaw. Sort of a trickster energy. But I think also, I don't know, it's like a sort of protective quality that they had towards you, but I think this person was like not very happy when you first met, or like in their initial, when they were initially around you, they were struggling. They could have had a headache and or heartache, you know, like sadness. I don't think that the sadness was caused by you at all, but you may not have understood why they seemed to be sad. You may have thought that it had something to do with you, or like it was caused by you. It was not. This person was struggling with some sort of sadness. It also could have been like some like physical pain, like I said, like a headache or something, but I do feel like on their first impressions, this person was a little bit more consumed with their own inner world in a way. But they liked the fact that you helped them to get outside of themselves, right? Because this inner world that they were kind of stuck in, their own inner world, was making them sad. They were sad, and you pulled them out of that somehow. You had a refreshing energy. I would say they saw you initially as having a very refreshing energy. They also saw you as very plucky, you know, like someone who doesn't let life get you down. Like if life knocks you off your bicycle, you're going to get up, brush yourself off, and try again. You know, it's like, it's a hard knock life, but, you know, we're going to turn it into a musical. So yeah, I do feel like you may have been giving like Little Orphan Annie type vibes too. Like, I'm gonna make the most of life, you know? And I feel like that's part of what like kind of helped pull them out of their own funk, their own initial inner funk that they were going through. You kind of helped them, sort of in a way like bring them back to life. Like you were very refreshing. I think that I said that before. Like they needed a refresh of their spirit. They needed their spirit to be refreshed. And your attitude and your behavior was very refreshing, because you seemed like someone who was open to life and like just full of life. And they're like, wow, I can learn from group 2. Let me take notes. You know, it's like life is dangerous, but life is also beautiful. And they didn't want to forget that that second part, that life is also beautiful. It isn't just that life is dangerous, but life is also beautiful. Yeah, I mean, I really feel when they first met you, because they were kind of very self-reflective, looking in that depressed kind of way, which I know I've already described, their first impressions of you really didn't sink in fully until after you had gone your separate ways. So you had that first meeting, you brought them back to life, you were refreshing, right? But it wasn't until they were later thinking about it, when kind of that mood, that depressed mood cleared enough for them to really think deeply about you, that they really were able to focus enough on you rather than on themselves, right? Because a lot of times when we're depressed, it's hard for us to get outside of ourselves. And that's what I'm trying to say, is that this person was struggling to do that because they were in a depressive funk. But you helped them to do that. You gave them wings. And then when you kind of went off your separate ways and they were reflecting on that moment, that's when they kind of understood you more, or it could really sink in to them who you were. Yeah, and then they really thought about you hardcore. I think this might be when the writing started. They started writing about you. They mentioned that before. It could have been that they wrote to you. They were either writing about you or they wrote to you. And this is when they formed their impressions, that they were kind of like head over heels for you. But I think they also felt, this is giving a little bit, this combination of cards is a little bit giving like Pepe Le Pew, you know, the little skunk from the cartoon. He's like in love with this cat, and the cat is just like, oh my God, I'm not that into you, you know? And like Pepe Le Pew does not get the hint, you know? I think this person was aware. They're like, okay, I'm really head over heels for group 2. I don't know if they're really as much into me that way, but I'm really into them. I feel like they felt like there were maybe certain things that they needed or wanted to explain from that first meeting. That they wished that they could have gone into certain topics more fully with you that had been brought up in that first meeting. What did they want to express? Well, for one thing, they do feel like they wanted to express how much you had really brought them back to life. How really you had unlocked them from, they had gotten into a funk that they did not know how to get out of. It's like you gave them the key to unlock themselves from a stuck situation in this depressed place where they were. What else about their initial impressions? I mean, I feel like I said, when they were reflecting on that meeting, they realized that they were in love with you. They did realize that they were in love with you, but they felt like there was some sort of, I don't know, it's like they wanted to be able to express that to you, but it's almost like they felt that maybe they didn't know how, but they were just overcome with these emotions of love. And, yeah, I mean, this person wanted to, this really was like, they were really struck by Cupid's arrow, but it's like they didn't feel the Cupid's arrow until they had kind of walked away from you, like, walked away and, you know, like you had the meeting and then you both went, you know, off and did whatever, you know, meeting. A moment doesn't last forever, but like after this moment, they realized they had been struck by Cupid's arrow and they had these significant feelings. And like, I think this person felt like being your boyfriend or your girlfriend would not be good enough for them, that they would want to be like your spouse or like the equivalent of that or nothing else. It was very like all or nothing. Yeah, but they did feel like almost like they would have to convince you, and that it wouldn't be easy to convince you to be with them in this way for some reason. Why did they feel that you would not be easily convinced? They just kind of got the impression that you maybe had other goals for yourself, other plans for yourself in mind, and that that they were not necessarily part of those plans. Okay. So what are this person's current impressions? I do feel, I gotta open the windows, it's stuffy in here. Okay, we hear a commercial about ED, which is erectile dysfunction. That's funny because before I did that, I was like, it's getting stuffy in here, it's uncomfortable. I feel like this person has a little bit of resentment towards you. Right now, they're feeling resentful towards you currently. I feel like the ED, erectile dysfunction thing that came up on the commercial just now was like, not that they necessarily have that condition, but I'm just saying, like, some people's emotions are very tied to their ability to be sexual or even sexually attracted to someone. And I feel like this person does still, they are attracted to you, but because they are like having resentment towards you at the moment, it's like they don't, at the same time, they don't want to have anything to do with you. Like, you were very refreshing before, and now it's like they feel this sort of stuffy energy. Okay, what is that about? I think that they're seeing you as very combustible or something in the moment with this Tower card. Like, almost like you're coming on strong with your emotions in the moment, and you probably mean well. Like, I think that you do love and care about this person, and I think that they know it as well, but it's like the way that you're expressing your emotions at the moment, it's too combustible or something, and it's like this person just, they're not having it for some reason. They want peace, and they don't feel that the way that you're expressing your emotions, it's not coming across as very loving. They do know that you care about them. They do know that you have a lot of feelings for them. I don't know. They feel a lot of uncertainty right now about what's happening between the two of you, and like, and to be honest, they're not even sure what they want to happen either. Okay, so what is their impression of you? They do feel like in some kind of way, like you're coming across as a little bit holier than thou, or like your shit doesn't stink. Like, I don't know. I don't know how else to put it. Like they feel like you're coming across as too snobby, or someone who just thinks that they only are capable of doing good. And yeah, they do kind of want to knock you out of that bubble again. Like this is interesting because this card came up in the beginning as well, the first impressions. It's like they feel like you need a bit of an adjustment now. They're like, you need to adjust yourself. You're the one who needs an adjustment. It's kind of like group 2, look in the mirror. You think you've got it all going on for yourself. You think that you're so great and perfect and you've never done anything wrong. Which, to be honest, I don't even think that you are presenting that. You know, it's like, I don't think that you're giving that. I think that you might be going through a lot and you're doing your best. And maybe the way that you're trying to deal with your emotions while you're going through a tough time, you're just doing the best you can, you know, is really what I feel. But this person feels anger at themselves as well. You know what I think? I think that they are projecting their internalized anger onto you because they don't want to feel mad at themselves. Because they do feel like if group 2 was the person who brought me back to life when I needed it, I know I can't do the same for them, or like I don't think that I can do the same for them, but I feel like I should. Or if they are coming back to life, if group 2 is going through a moment of being refreshed themselves, like they want to feel a sort of pride that they had something to do with it. And maybe they have had something to do with it, but I don't know. It's like I do feel like a little bit of self-loathing on this person's part, because they want to feel more integrated with you. They're frustrated that they don't feel as integrated with you as what they want to be, and they don't really like how you're expressing your emotions right now. And it's like, yeah, they want you to emerge from this difficult time and like emerge into something better, but it's, I don't know, it's in a selfish way. They want to feel that they are a part of that magic. They want to be magical to you. And they want you to be choosing to have them in your life. They want you to be choosing a life that includes them. And still, you know, this was in the first impressions as well, still, they feel that you view them almost as a scapegoat or a shadow that you don't want to have anything to do with. Like being with them would paint you badly. Yeah, I think they feel rejected by that. Like maybe they think that they are like the bad boy or the bad girl or something, and that you don't want to be associated with them. Or even if it's not bad boy, bad girl, there's something about them that they feel that you are viewing as beneath them, or that if you chose to align your life with theirs, they would reflect badly on you somehow. And they're struggling with that. But I mean, back to the original question of what are their impressions of you, they view you actually as a very self-contained person, but also it keeps coming through that they are kind of viewing you as a bit self-righteous. Yeah, they're viewing you as a bit self-righteous and almost like untouchably self-righteous somehow, like only a certain class of individual can get into my inner sanctum. So I do kind of feel like this person misses you though. So it's like a kind of a complex mix of emotions and thoughts, but all right, group 2, I hope that was helpful. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you later. Bye-bye. All right, group 3, you chose Saint Germain, karma releasing. Move beyond drama, create your own path, make room for good energy. Okay, so before I even started recording, I was getting intuitively that I feel like when this person reflects on their initial impressions of you, the past that they have with you, just kind of like more so their past with you, they think a lot about their own kind of personal evolution, like how they've changed since those initial moments that they had with you. I do feel like when they think about their first impressions, they were very sweet on you from the beginning. We have the Page of Cups and the Two of Cups. Like they just were like so sweet on you. They had sweet romantic feelings from the outset. So in terms of their impression of you, it's very sweet. But they're thinking about their own self and how they have changed in time. And I think they're thinking that they needed to change as well. I mean, don't we all? We all need to change. Yeah, I think that they're looking back at some of their behavior and seeing it as maybe, well, childish. I mean, it's not that they think they were really outright mean to you or anything like that. Like they do feel like the way that they behaved to you should have made it obvious that they cared about you. Yeah, they may have even said something like openly, either through their actions and or their words. They, I think, made it obvious to you that they were interested in you, that they were sweet on you from the beginning. Okay, let's focus on that part of it, because I'm not sure what this is about them seeing themselves needing to change. We'll look into that in a moment. But okay, so they felt that they were very sweet on you. Okay. So this is, I think this is, okay, so now we're touching both bases, you know. Yes, they knew that they had feelings for you. They did feel that they were making that obvious, but they also had other plans for their life. You know, they were dreaming up what they wanted out of their life, and I think that there was a little bit of callousness when it came to that, about how that might affect you. Like what they wanted out of life might have made it a little bit difficult for the two of you to forge a bond based on the feelings that they did actually have, right? So they wanted their cake. They wanted their cake and to eat it too. They wanted to be able to enjoy this sweetness of emotion that they shared with you, this sweet sort of like puppy dog love. But they're also like, I have to be making adult decisions over here with my life. There are a lot of options here. I can choose love, but also I can choose how to like catapult myself in life. And I think they were looking to make power moves for themselves in some kind of way. I think they felt, you know, that they didn't as openly express that part of it to you, but that you may have just gotten the hint, right? So the sweetness that they had, you know, the fact that they really liked you, they did feel that they made that part of it obvious, but they felt like that maybe they hinted around a little bit more about the fact that they actually planned to go out here and make these power moves for themselves, and that doing that it might involve making a choice. Like, do I want to choose group 3 and love, or do I want to like choose my career? Because it does feel like this is someone who was like maybe choosing more their career, or it could be social standing. You know, the 3 of Pentacles can also indicate that, but like they wanted to rise up in the world through social standing or career standing or both, and they didn't see I mean, I think they could see that they could somehow have both, you and that, but did they think that they were having to choose away from you? Okay. No, I think in their mind, they actually felt like they could have both. They could have you and this success. They did feel some sort of anxiety about it, because I think that, okay, this is the thing. They didn't think that you understood how they could have both. That's what the issue is. They felt that they could have their cake and eat it too, but they felt like you may have felt kind of abandoned by them. Like, okay, you're going off to make your way in the world. I guess I'm chopped liver. You know what I mean? They felt that you felt abandoned, basically. And I think that's something that they can see now, looking back on it, that they didn't recognize as much then. They didn't understand that you would have felt that way, that you would have felt abandoned. Okay, I think now we're getting it. So thank you for being patient and hearing it all out. Okay, initial impressions of group 3. They felt like you did not as openly express that you had interest in them. Because these are all reversed. Same cards before that we had for them, but now reverse. Like, they didn't, you know, sorry to repeat myself. They felt like they made it obvious that they liked you in a romantic sense. Had a crush on you, whatever. They did not feel that you were as open about it, but I think they still could pick up strongly that you had those feelings. They did feel like it was mutual. They just felt like you kind of kept it more within yourself and didn't express it as openly, or maybe that you didn't even want to admit it to yourself, kind of, that you were into them. But I think that they, you know, they felt like, well, that's okay. You know, like, it didn't hurt their feelings. Or like, if group 3 needs time to open up, that's okay. Like, we can work on it. Like, maybe they just need to come to terms with it more, that they have these feelings for me. I will say it did hurt their feelings a little bit. You know, we have the 3 of Swords, so it did hurt their feelings, but they were like willing to give you grace, so to speak. And I think they wanted to look at the bigger picture and say, well, okay, they're not being open about having feelings for me, but if we get together in the end, then that's what matters. You know, it's sort of like, it doesn't matter as much if they're not willing to admit their feelings now, but so long as it happens somewhere along the way and we get together. Yeah, we have the 10 of Pentacles. They were looking at the long-term picture. Like they did from the beginning. This person saw you in their kind of like long-term vision for their life. Yeah, I just shuffled and the 10 of Pentacles came out again. They definitely felt that the 2 of you had a future together, and that future felt bright. And that future made them feel very happy and optimistic. And they felt like, I'm going to do everything I can to make this happen. Yeah, but I do feel like maybe there was then some, because of their need to go out and make their way in the world, they may have had to move away or travel somewhere where it's like, yes, their plan was to come back and build this romantic connection with you more fully, but they did feel like they had to go off and do something else first. But they did not mean to abandon you. That was not ever their intention. I do feel like they have felt, looking back on it all, they do feel like something just went wrong somewhere along the way. And things did not work out the way that they had hoped that they would. They feel that maybe they had a sort of misplaced optimism that it would all just work out, I think they felt like, like I thought we were basically on the same page, but we really weren't on the same page. And that's part of the issue. Okay, any more about how they viewed you in their first impressions? No, so let's move on to their current impressions. What are this person's current impressions of group 3? I'm going to switch to a different deck here. I do feel like you feel familiar to them, almost like an old, well-worn pair of jeans. Like, obviously that's a metaphor, but like that's how it's coming in, because for every reading so far, I felt like I needed to change decks from the first impressions to the current impressions. And for you all, I almost wanted to stick with this old, which is also well-worn, Rider-Waite-Smith deck. But I am going to switch decks because I do feel like there is something different. There definitely is something different now. But you are so familiar to them. It is like a sense of comfort still that they have when it comes to you, like a well-worn pair of jeans, like I'm not trying to objectify you. It's not, don't take the metaphor in that way, but like almost like there's no need to impress you. There's no need for you to impress them. Like you can kind of be yourselves, be relaxed. I think they feel that the two of you have something going between the two of you now where like you could sit in silence and just understand each other, or like if the two of you aren't actively speaking or involved in each other's lives, like still there's that sense of like it feels like we're still holding a flame for each other in some way, and we just get each other, we understand each other. But I do feel like with this Hierophant reverse, things did not turn out the way that they had planned or envisioned them. So they do still think about that, but they're like, well, despite the fact that things didn't turn out the way that I had envisioned, it does still seem like we have this sort of closeness and familiarity, that we're both still special to each other. I think that they kind of felt that, or the way they see you now, they understand that on the one hand, maybe you did feel abandoned by them in the past, but at the same time, they feel that you may not have felt comfortable in their life as they were living it anyway, that almost like you would want to escape, like the way that they live their life or lead their life might feel sort of like a prison to you. So like, what feels like a great lifestyle to one person might feel like a prison to someone else. So, yeah, they do kind of just feel like they still have a desire for you to be with them in like a long-term relationship, I feel like, but they feel like it would take more convincing now in a way. But they do feel certain now of your feelings. I mean, they did feel in the beginning that you had those feelings for them and you just weren't willing to admit it, even to yourself. But now they do feel much more confirmed that yes, in fact, you do have feelings. They're grateful for that. They're grateful that it's more obvious to them now. They do feel like maybe you have come out of your shell more in terms of expressing that or being more open in some kind of way about having these feelings for them. Yeah, and they're grateful for that. Because I feel like, you know, they always felt it was there. But they're like, wow, you're such a closed book, group 3. Such a closed book. Even now, to be honest, they feel that you're a bit of a closed book, like you're hard to read. But they can read you better now in terms of your feelings. They can read you better now, and those feelings of vulnerability, the sweet feelings that you have for them, they can pick up on that now way better than they could in the past. And it makes them feel really good about themselves. Yeah, they cherish that. They cherish your ability to help them understand that you do love them. Okay, how are they seeing you? What are their impressions of you as a person right now? Well, as a person right now, they're seeing you as the 10 of Swords. So they do feel like you are kind of like dealing with a lot, like they feel like maybe someone has done you wrong, or like someone has sort of like stabbed you in the back, and that you might be angry and trying to get revenge on someone for stabbing you in the back. They feel that you're kind of a mix here. We have the 9 of Cups and also the 9 of Swords. Like they feel like you may be going through a lot of anxiety or having a lot of anxiety, but then it's like almost like the ocean tides going in and out. It's like you come across as being very anxious and stressed out, and then you seem to like move into a period of being very happy and well adjusted and coping and you know, reasonably accepting of life on life's terms. But they see you sort of going back and forth between these two things. I think they wish also that people would stop triggering you, because they do feel like there might be someone out here triggering you, and they don't like that. Yeah, that really gets them in their feelings. This person gets like angry. They really feel like people are messing with you, triggering you, or like expecting too much of you when you're going through a hard time. And they're like, group 3 doesn't really need this bullshit, you know? They're like, what the fuck? Stop messing with group 3. But yeah, going back to that comfort and familiarity. Like an old quilt, you know, like, I don't know. They just really love you. I think they do feel that this person has your back and they're on your side. Like if you do like clap back at someone who is trying to trigger you, they're like rooting you on. They're like, that's my group 3, you know, like don't fuck with group 3, because they will clap back. And by God, if they clap back at you, you fucking deserve it. This is how they feel. They do really admire you as well. Like, so they're seeing you right now as being very constructive in your life, you know. Really, I mean, like I said before, they see you as going back and forth between being kind of stressed out and anxious, but then also making the most of things. But like overall, like we have the 3 of Pentacles and the Ace of Wands, they really feel that you are making the most of life, despite the anxiety that you might be feeling at times, despite the fact that other people seem to be trying to mess with you or stress you out. Like They're like, group 3 knows where they're going and they know what they're doing with their life, and they're like making good things happen for themselves. Yeah, like look at this, you know, like making things happen despite like this turmoil, this tornado. It's like, wow, you know, like they're really impressed. They really are. I do feel like they want to spend time with you, but they're not sure if it would, how much it would last if the two of you did, you know, but they're okay. They're like, let me just spend time with group 3 again. Like, even if it's just a moment and then we have to go for a long period of not seeing each other again, like at least let's see each other. Like, let's do something. Let's spend time together. They do have a feeling it might not last for some reason though. They do also feel, to be honest, they do feel like you might still have a sort of vengefulness still against them. That you might even feel that there's some sort of karma that they have not gotten yet. I don't know. They think that you might be holding some sort of grudge against them. We have the Justice card, the Tower, the High Priestess, and the Three of Swords. Something that you haven't gotten over, something that you haven't that you haven't let go of regarding them. I don't know. I mean, I think whatever this is, they don't really want to have that topic be brought up, or like have to rehash it, or like explain themselves. I think they're kind of hoping that you come to understand, like, okay, that was me in the past, and I may not have always made the absolute best choices, but like I wasn't trying to hurt you. I wasn't trying to be a burden to you. So I don't know. It's like they can accept the fact that you might be still holding some sort of grudge towards them. They're trying not to take it too hard. They're just like, well, that is what it is. Like, I think they don't agree that you should be holding a grudge. They feel like you shouldn't be holding this against them, but at the same time, I don't think they're mad at you for holding the grudge. They're just aware that it might be the case that you are. Anything else about currently? Oh my God, I just shuffled and I pulled again the Tower and the Justice. They do really strongly feel that you might still be having some sort of vendetta, and to be honest, it's like they do want to spend time with you and get closer to you, but they're almost like, you know, is group 3, I don't know, they're afraid of you getting angry at them, but they're almost like, they're like, well, I'm willing to risk it anyway, or like I would be willing to risk it, because maybe if they did express anger, at least it would open up a can of worms and we could talk about it. You know, they don't want to talk about it, but at the same time, they're like, I don't know, it's like if you opened up on that, maybe you would open up on other things too, because they really want you to express your feelings more. And they're like, well, if you have to express the bad feelings to get to the good feelings, like maybe we should open up that can of worms and just let the bad feelings out, and then it's okay. And then we can get to the good feelings. Yeah, I feel like this person is trying to work up the courage maybe to, get more involved with your life or reach out to you. But I don't know. They do, again, I know I already said this, but they feel that you are giving too much credit or like too much time to someone who is actually causing you anxiety. Or like someone who doesn't deserve your attention. Yeah, they feel that someone is getting attention from you who does not deserve it. We'll say it that way. Somebody is getting a lot of attention from you right now that does not deserve it. So this could be like a rival that they're jealous of, or just someone in general who they just don't think is deserving of your time. But all right, anything else for group 3? Current impressions? No. I'm getting mostly no. So, all right. I hope that was helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.